Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Fatima?
Alaikum salam. I'm good, thanks, and you?
Well, good, thank you. It's an absolute privilege to hold space for your story today, and I'm thankful that you joined us on set today.
It's actually an honor being here, finally finding some time to do this with you.
Yes, I look forward to discussing your journey. So let's go back. Let's start at the beginning. Who is Fatima and what was your background like?
Okay, so growing up was interesting. I somehow always managed to feel out of place. I thought I wanted to be a doctor for most of my life, or maybe that's what my mom thought I should be. I started studying that for, I think, 8 days to be exact. And then I moved over and studied civil engineering. But my core focus is that eventually what I did do was I majored in mathematics. And that's why I currently tutoring, which I found over time that is one of my core passions. I absolutely love it. So I tutor maths and physics. And I think a couple of years ago, about 8 or 9 years ago, maybe, I did a major research work in quantum physics. So a lot of it lies there. In that field of quantum physics and doing that type of research work, I won't lie, it was very confusing, or should I say, there was like questions I had about my upbringing or the place I was brought up in. It contradicted a lot of my religious beliefs at the time. So it did put me in a position of confusion. But I think there was a point where it was my faith that brought me back because, there's that slight nudge that, wait, hold on, what exactly are you doing or what exactly? Because, when you're in that field with physics or I call it the quantum realm right now, there is a lot that you gather from there, but at the same time, it does question your belief. And for me, I think at that point is when I stepped back a little and I said, like, what exactly am I doing? My journey then unfolded very differently. I was an extreme overthinker, wanting to be in control of the outcomes of everything. And so, that was a very long story. I mean, in terms of what was going on there. And then I shifted out of that research and moved back into just, me and me being the tutor that I used to be. So I went back into just tutoring maths and physics and of course did little courses here and there, but none of that. I think the research kind of led me to some confusion, like where am I? What am I doing? Who am I? And I tried little things over the years, but again, nothing that fulfilled or gave me that internal peace that I was looking for. So, yeah, that's
what it was for you. And with regards to your family life and when did you get married? How many kids do you have?
I got married really young. So I have 2 kids. A daughter was 22 and a son was 19. Yeah.
You look very young to have such grown-up kids.
Thank you.
So I know something we discussed was when it rains, it pours. What were some of the storms that hit you over and over?
Wow. The last 5 years have been incredible. It led me on a journey of note. I felt like I was on a roller coaster continuously. I was tested with every tag you could think of. So there was betrayal, deceit, love, friendship, slander, and trauma. And of course, one of the biggest things was the loss of my sister. But all of this did was bring me back into me and understanding our actual purpose and why we really are. Like I said, I was always looking for things to do. I was the busiest person you would find, like doing this project and that project and moving from, if I have to start naming the things I was doing, it was crazy. Like I was doing a something on renewable energy. Then I was moving to cake baking. Then I was moving to this, moving to that. It was insane. Like I felt like I don't know what. It was like I was looking for something, but just not finding it, I think what I was actually looking for was internal peace. And at the time, nobody can label it. Nobody knows what it's about. So for me, when life started, I should have seen it, but I should have seen it coming. But of course, as humans, it's not possible. The roller coaster started, and it's one thing after the other. And I think this was that time that I needed to find my peace. And the only way I could find it was through my Creator. So, look, I prayed my life. I come from a home where, we couldn't miss a prayer. We needed to. But in all honesty, I was praying, but I was doing it as an obligation. I was never doing it out of love until this journey started. And, I when it comes to my students, I mentor them a lot. I coach them a lot, and I'm always directing them back to their heart space, which I feel is directly connected to their Creator. And now when after everything that I've been through, I just feel like, when you start joining the dots of your life, you have no idea how beautiful it is. It is the most beautiful picture that you can paint or that Allah has created for you. He knows better than we know. I mean, in the beginning, when you start going through these tests, you do wonder, why me? Why this? I wasn't looking for this. I didn't ask for this. Why is this happening? But as time goes and you join those dots, I promise you that beauty is unbelievable. And it does eventually lead you to that inner peace you want, I had so many tests that were coupled, one on top of the other, that I had no time to breathe, actually. I didn't know what to expect, what was going on. And the only place I could turn to was to my Allah. And that was it. I found absolute solace on my prayer mat. But, there was a difference because I was going now to my prayer mat like a different person. I mean, before, like I said, it was an obligation. But now I was going there like, I literally, when I say I was going there with love, that's what I was going there with. And I started taking these tests with honor. And I said, you know what? I've got this. Like, no human can be tested with what he cannot bear. And I'm a firm believer of that if Allah gives you something, you need to take it with honor, because He will never test you if He doesn't think you're worthy. And I mean, this world is, after the death of my sister, obviously that was huge. But again, that led me to understanding how temporary this world is and how we think that, or at least what we think and what really is two completely different things. You're chasing and you're chasing and you're chasing, but what are you actually chasing? The more we're chasing, the more I find it's just, you're never feeling peace. There's just too much of unsettling. There's too much of, and, there's so much that I've learned in this journey that, even when it comes to prayer, the way we pray is, we pray, we think we have to work. Well, I'm talking for myself. I always thought I had tawakkul. I thought that I was praying and I thought I had tawakkul. Until these last 5 years. And this is when I actually learned the true meaning of tawakkul. That when you pray to Allah, you need to pray from the bottom of your pit. And I promise you, He will show you signs. There are signs visible everywhere. You just need to open your eyes to it. You need to see it. It is literally there, right in front of you. He will show you exactly what it is, but that comes from true tawakkul. And I'm talking about, we all say, no, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But do we really believe that? We don't. Because sometimes you don't get something and you still thinking you want it. Like, let it go. Because if it's meant to be, it's going to come. And trust me, if it's not meant to be, there is nothing you can do in this world to get that. whatever it is, whether it's a material object, whether it's a person, whether it's a friendship, no matter what it is. Allah, in every decision, when they say the master plan, it is the master plan, because every decision everything that is planned for you, 50,000 years before we came to earth, it was written down. Everything was there. You actually agreed you saw your blueprint, you said yes, Allah asked you, you came to earth. Now, we're sitting here living in our human selves. I mean, are we really in touch with our souls? Because the moment you get in touch with that, then it's a different version of life. So I think I realized that I do have armor, as I say. I thank him on a daily basis for the armor he's given me. I thank him on a daily basis for the strength he's given me, the resilience he's given me. I mean, I knew I was a strong woman, but now I know I'm an actual super strong woman. The journey that I had to go through like I said, it was a roller coaster. I lost friends. I lost people who I thought were my people. But when they say Allah protects you, he knows best. He knows what is good for you and you do not know. I mean, there's a lot of sayings about, you may love what you think is good for you, but Allah knows better, It may not be good for you. But again, all of these feelings and all of these attachments that we have is so worldly. It's so temporary. And the moment you just let go completely. And when I say a complete surrender, and you sit on that prayer mat and you don't even need to pray. You can just sit on that mat because Allah knows what's in your heart. He knows exactly where you need to be. He knows what you need in life. You think you know. Trust me, we don't know. We have no clue. I was an absolute social butterfly. I thought that's what my life was about. In fact, I don't really like being in social gatherings anymore. Like, it's too much for me. And now I think, what was I thinking? But again, that takes us back to us as humans. We go through a phase where we're looking for validation. Why? I don't know, but we go through it. And the journey also, it takes you through, like for me, there was a lot of healing that I needed to do. We have wounding and trauma wounds that are sitting with us for generations. And, I utilized this journey for so much more than just dealing with that actual test. Because when the test happens, also, I think there is that choice. You're either going to move closer to Allah or away from Allah. And you can make that. Sometimes you think you're still there, but are you really? When you hit with death and a younger sibling, it crumbles that hierarchy system completely because you think you're the one that needs to go first. And they're not ill. There's nothing. She goes away on a vacation and you see her the day before. You love her. You tell her she's looking wow. She's looking beautiful. You make plans for the next week. She goes away and she just never comes back. I mean, that is like someone taking a dagger and stabbing it through your body. Like, it is the pain that you go through that. And I mean, everyone is going through some sort of grief. Loss is, but we know about this. And the only thing that can keep you alive or keep you fine is your faith. And without your faith, you will be nothing. Because, it's at that moment, like, you're sitting and at first, of course, you're trying to argue and be like, but what do you mean? Why her? Why me? Why this? Why that? You have these questions. And I think that's when your true faith gets tested, because it's like, are you going to come closer to me? Are you going to try to get solace from me? Are you aware that this world is temporary? Are you aware that you could be next? Or, it could be anyone. And I think each of these tests I went through just brought me closer to my Creator. I thought, after her death, I was like, oh, okay, right. There was a lot that has happened. And then as the next year approached, I thought, okay, this is it. I can't be tested anymore because I've been through so many. But we have no idea. We do not know what's coming because I didn't even get over the grief, and I was coupled with, there was something else traumatic that was overlapped. But considering everything that I had already gone through, I was like, no problem, bring it on. Bring it on, because I've got my Allah and He's going to take me through this journey. He is going to help me because, another thing that's, like when it comes to friendships or humans in our lives, they're not always going to be there. And that's totally okay, because you do not need anyone when you are being tested. You sit and you say, oh, but this one wasn't here for me. The journey is not about them. The journey is about you. Allah will only protect you, and everything that happens is literally for your benefit. And I mean, whatever I went through then in 2024 was another mind-blowing experience, because I had to then figure out more about life. I had to figure out, and again, I did a lot of journaling. I did a lot of journaling. I would journal as much as I could. And one of the things that I've been telling a lot of people after going through whatever I did is khair, is the goodness. If you can sit, and when you are going through that worst moment in your life, if you can find the goodness in it, then you're winning. Because He can bring you right to your lowest point. But it's at that point that you got to sit, and instead of feeling sorry for yourself or feeling sorry, this was meant to be. This is what life was planned. This was written. So why do you want to fight with it? Why do you want to sit there and be depressed and be like, oh, why is this going on? Why is this happening with me? Sit down, take a moment, talk to your Allah and be like, wait, hold on. There must be some goodness, and you'll find it. And then you will find it, and then you will realize that no money in the world, nothing, no human being, no money, nobody can bring you that inner peace that you've been craving for your whole life. And it's really strange, because I found my inner peace through a lot of struggles. Yeah. But it's like I said, money can't buy it. Like, I'm at a place now where, I sign off my evening with, I love you, Allah. And that's the only person, my Creator is the only love I need to have on this planet. You love your kids, you love your family, you love your friends, you love whoever. But at the end of the day, that is the most important thing, because what is our purpose here?
And what was the process like for you, from where you were in life, going through these struggles, and then finding that deep connection in your soul, that deep connection in your soul? What was that process like for you?
During the time, if you had to ask me, I was a mess. But now when you ask me, it was pure beauty. It was so absolutely, I felt like I had a spiritual awakening. And in saying that, I felt like I was literally getting in touch with my soul. And it made me understand the difference between us living this earth, like we human beings running around. But, we all are like, okay, it's the human body that has a soul. But I am now at a point where I completely disagree. It is a soul that's carrying the human body. This that we have is very temporary, but the soul is eternal. And I also feel like, one of my very favorite things that I say to all my students is, as within, so without. What your inside is will always reflect on the outside, no matter what anyone says about you. I mean, I went through slander that could have broke me into a million pieces. And I went through so much. I went through so many things of, that confused me. And I couldn't believe, I was like, how even? Like, I would never do this. But that's when it just made me understand that what people think of you is really not your business. What people say about your truth lies between you and Allah, and that's it. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You don't need to be anything for anyone. In fact, you don't need validation from anyone. Everything comes from within you. And once you, connect with your soul and you understand that whatever you're giving out, like whatever's inside is going to be, and Allah will only direct you to the people that are good for you. Because that is the intention you need to make. Your intention is your most important thing in life. Like the niyyah you making is, I prayed things that I never thought I would find myself praying. Like, Ya Allah, guide me to the right people. Guide me to be with people that will be good for me, for my soul, for my faith, for my iman. Like, I want it to be stronger. I don't want to be aligned with human beings that are not happy for me, that are not good for me. And slowly, slowly, you see it's like these pins that just start falling. And, again, like I said, just find the goodness in it.
What was the moment that brought you to your knees, and what did that teach you?
So this would be really, if I wasn't sure whether I wanted to talk about this on the show or not, but I think eventually in 2024, when I hit a major financial loss, I would say, that brought me to my knees. But it wasn't actually that. It was everything coupled together. And I was walking, doing my thing. I'm strong. I've got this. Because, also being the eldest daughter in your home, you have to always show that happy face. You've got everything. Even when it comes to everyone around me, I'm always the person that, like, I've got it together. So nothing's going to, like, there was a point after my sister passed away where people asked me, are you sure you're okay? You're going to end up, I was fine, but I think last year, after everything was just coupled, there was so much that happened in 2024 that literally just brought me to my knees. And it was at that point that I had no car. And initially I was like, what? And there was nothing I could do, actually, but I ended up finding myself in the musalla literally 24/7. And through dreams and through signs and through just so much, I got every answer that I was ever looking for. But again, like I said, I prayed it from the bottom of my pit. And I said, Ya Allah, you've got me. And, so it was very, like, it was momentary. If I say, like, when you say, like, literally bringing you down to your knees, it was momentary in the sense that I was talking to my creator all the time. I was praying to him all the time. But at that point, there was a day when I was literally on my knees, where I just stopped and I was like, what on earth? But I think within a couple of hours, I got up and I was like, no. I've got this, because if I've got Allah beside me, I don't need anything else. And shukr, alhamdulillah, like, a lot has changed and I'm able to be sitting here now. I mean, had you asked me to do this interview with you last year, of course I wouldn't have, because when you're going through what you are, you can't see a door. It's darkness, like you cannot believe. You don't even think there's a door. And, I started reading the English Quran a lot. And, when Allah says that you ask me, don't worry where it's going to come from. You just ask. The rest I will deal with, but have faith in the fact that I will give you what you need, is the most powerful thing that anyone can hold on to and walk with on this earth. Because I promise you, when I tell you I was indoors, I had no human interaction. There was no one in my space. And when I say that, I asked for things, like whatever, whether it was the job I prayed for or whatever, it came to me. And how it came to me was miraculous. So, like, I actually sat there and thought, my whole life you ask, but in your head you're thinking, oh, I want to buy this car, but if I'm not earning this much, is it possible? Yeah. Don't worry about that. Because he says, ask me for what you want. I will find the way. You don't worry of how. That is on me. So again, that comes down to having, like, yes. And I say pray with yaqeen, and like he will be there. He will help you. And, in this time frame, if I tell you, I mean, I'm not mentioning every single detail of what I went through, but there were times when I actually felt like I was in the belly of the whale. And I didn't plan to think it, but there was so much darkness around me that I went to bed. And in that moment, I actually felt like I was in the belly of the whale. And if I tell you, it was so beautiful, because it was like something gave me this. And I read the zikr of Yunus alayhi salam's continuously. That there was a night when I was reading it nonstop, and I actually felt something go, like, do this over me. And I was like, and I just woke up and I just felt like peace that I couldn't explain to anyone. Like, I was like, what am I, like, and I just surrendered and I left everything to Allah. And I said, Ya Allah, that's all I can do. You take over. And He did.
So would you say that the greatest wealth is inner peace?
I think there is nothing better than inner peace. And I think that as a human being, include it in your prayer. Include asking for peace in your prayer, because that feeling of peace, you're no longer chasing. We all are chasing. But what are we actually chasing? And I was chasing. I wanted this and I thought I wanted this and I needed to go here and do but chasing what exactly and why? But, ever since being on this journey, I've taught my kids, and my son uses it on me every day. And I said to him, if there's a beautiful butterfly in your garden and you want to catch it, you're going to start chasing him. You'll never catch it. It's going to fly away. But instead, if you build a beautiful garden, then lots of butterflies are going to come to your garden. You don't need to chase them. He uses it on me all the time now, and he laughs with it, and he says, and he uses it for everything in life. And I'm like, relax, calm down a bit. But it is, we're chasing things, but rather just, find that stillness, find that solitude, find that space, be with your Creator, talk to Him. He knows what's good for you. Ask for what you are allowed to ask for anything you want to. And then when it doesn't come, it just wasn't meant to be. He's protecting you from something else. So, yeah.
There was a point where you were constantly on Instagram. You were quite an influencer. So what changed? What made you move away from being so much in that limelight?
I think I stopped posting after my sister's death, but there was a lot that was sort of transpiring inside me. Remember, I've been on a journey from 2020, and I was trying to, learn about me and who am I and my own growth, my own healing, wounding, whatever the case is. And I did reach a point, and it may have just been before her death, but of course the death, after the death, it was when I realized, like, I really actually don't need to be posting much right now. I didn't feel right to be doing it. But through my journey and everything that I was learning and growing into, I did, I became aware of the fact that sometimes we all are looking for validation. And it's sad because, being out there is about that. I have nothing against it. I may go back. I've started posting again, but, because during these 5 years, I found one of my love languages is food. So I decided to start posting food videos, but that's only because it's making me happy, if you know what I'm saying. But like I said, I don't think I needed the validation anymore. I think I grew into what I needed to. Like, I'm not saying that I'm never going to do it again or whatever. But for now, I think I was more focused on the peace I wanted. And I didn't see the need for social media platforms. And, again, when it comes to social media, like, I always ask people, what is your perception of me? And what they think of me and the life I actually live is two completely different things. So I don't think it was aligning with my authenticity or who, the real me. Or like I'm saying, like, even when I was doing shoots and people would be like, I would ask them, like, what do you take from my Instagram? Like, who do you think, or what? The answers I would get would baffle me. And I would be like, but I'm none of that. So either I'm going to come back on Instagram as the real me, or just never be back there. Like I said, that's something that I don't know. But for now, I'm extremely comfortable not being on any of the platforms.
And how do you navigate what people think of you with the contrast of who you really are?
So I never really cared about what people thought of me, because I know that what I reflected on social media and who I really am it wasn't the same. And I would be that person that I would be like, even, if you're in my space, you're going to like me because and who's meant to be there is going to be there, and who isn't going to be. So I didn't really care much about that. But like I'm saying, after the journey I've been through now, I just feel that if I do make a comeback, it needs to be me, authentic self of who I really am,
And you said everyone has their struggles and the world needs to be kinder. Would you say your struggles made you more compassionate?
Kindness was always my trait. Like ever since I was a kid, that was like, I always thought like, I didn't know words like projecting or people are projecting what they're going through. I didn't know any of those things, but I always thought, you know what, there's no harm in being kind. Like there isn't. And the truth is that everyone is going through a struggle. Everyone's just going through a different type of struggle, some relative to their lifestyle, some, and often we sometimes you're driving. I mean, I had this with my kids in the car one day. We were driving and the traffic light turned green and it was my right of way. And someone was, he just decided to drive and it was actually my right of way. And he started screaming and swearing at me through the window. And my kids were like, oh my God. And all I did is I smiled at him and I waved. And they said, why did you do that? I said, because we have no idea what the man went through this morning. Someone could have died in his family, could have found out he has some disease that, we have no idea what the man is going through. And they were little at that time. And I said, sometimes you just, if someone is screaming and shouting at you, you just got to remain calm. Let them be, because we really don't know who's projecting what and at which point. So my kids, obviously, I've been trying to teach them these little life lessons, which I am so grateful, shukr alhamdulillah, that I can see them like, executing most of them on a daily basis. But, this, like I said, we don't know what people are going through. And sometimes someone wants to scream at you or slander you, for example. You don't know the trauma they've been through. Let them say what they need to. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to slander, I was a major victim of that. And at that point, it hurt me. But at the same time, I thought, wait, slander is actually something that's beautiful that happens in your life. Because what it does is actually filters out people. It filters out humans that you pray and you say, Ya Allah, I can't control the situation, but you can. You do for me what you feel. And also at the same time, people that believe the slander were never meant to be in your space. They were never aligned with your soul to begin with. The ones that don't believe it will contact you and ask you, but I don't believe this about you. Those are your people, and that's, I think, how your circle gets smaller over time. And each thing you go through, whether you're going through you go through a family loss or anything, each of those shows you people, and like I said, every single human being that you encounter on this journey of yours on earth, they come either as a lesson, there's a bless or a blessing, and you need to decide what it is. So I think after losing a sister, to me right now, it just doesn't matter. We do need people. We do need humans in our lives. But again, praying to Allah, and He will keep the ones that are good for you in your space.
You spoke about a saying by Rumi. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it was something about staying in the present, not focusing on the future or the past. Do you want to discuss that a bit?
Yes. Oh, it's, one of my favorite quotes, actually. Reason being is I was very much an overthinker, overthinking everything. But that comes down to the need for control, because I am that person. I mean, that's my personality type. I need everything to be done in a specific way or whatever. And the quote, there was also a lot of quotes that came to me. I feel like just, I was praying so much that I found like I was getting answers to my questions, sometimes in the form of a quote or whatever. And this quote actually, it's by Rumi. I don't know the exact words of it, but it's about when you continuously live in the future, you will always be anxious. And when you're living in the past, you will always be depressed. But when you live in the present moment, that's when you will find peace. Because as humans, we wanting, where are we going to go on holiday? What are we going to do next? There's anxiety. There's so much, like you're creating this unnecessary stress internally. And when you're sitting and you're thinking and you start thinking about the past, I should have, I could have, I would, you cannot change what has happened. Now you're going to start getting depressed and feeling sad. And why not just enjoy the present moment? We don't even know if we're going to be here tomorrow. Enjoy the moment, live in the present, and like even when it comes to the people around you, you don't know who's going to be around tomorrow. Love the people that love you. Love the people. Show love. Don't be scared to show your love. I was a bit like that. But don't be scared. Show love, because love is one of the most beautiful emotions that you can ever find on this planet. And when you radiate on that frequency of love, you will notice everything beautiful start, you'll attract the beauty. So live in the present, because you don't know if it's going to come back anyway. And it actually won't. You can't get today tomorrow. So so that's something that I found quite important in my life as well.
I know you also said you don't like planning because there's always a curveball that gets thrown. But what's next for you?
They say never tell.
That's true.
So there's a lot that I'm hoping to do or achieve in my life. And again, inshallah, if Allah wishes or hopes or feels that it is good for me, then they will happen. But I do feel like I'm in a much better space through the grace of Allah. And like I said, will be silent on the actual projects that I have planned.
And the projects that you're currently working on it's your Twitter
so
stage, right?
I've just decided to wear something from my collection. I launched this also last year, a GeoFit collection. Again, I created this purely because I just wanted women to feel good about themselves. So the brand, when it comes to the leggings or whatever it is, there's some sort of technology in each of the pieces. So either like tucking your abs in or whatever is your problem area. So it's something that will make you feel comfortable. Because it was something always, I'm always worried about trying to get women to feel like their best. So I thought that this would be something. So that's why I actually launched this. There's a modest collection as well that I've included in this. So it will be online soon. And I launched it last year, but I didn't do much with it through 2024 because there was a lot going on. But inshallah, it will take off this year again.
Lots of luck with that.
Thank you.
But before we close off today, could you leave us with some words of wisdom?
My only words of wisdom that I have found that is aligning, resonating with my soul is that your love for Allah is the most important thing on this earth. There is nothing greater than that. Never love a thing or a person or an material object more than your love for Allah. And when you pray, do it from the bottom of your pit because He is listening 24/7. Like I said, I always thought I had to work full. Now I know I really do.
Alhamdulillah. Your words are really so touching, and the way you spoke about your struggles with so much grace, I'm sure it would touch many women's hearts.
Inshallah, I hope so.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It was an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. Like I said, it came at the right moment.
Yes. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.